everyone. Dave Putz from JKP Holdings. Good afternoon, Mr. Nathan Turner.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Good, man. Enjoying this rainy Friday afternoon in Jersey. Hopefully the weekend will be a little bit better than we're dealing with right now. How are things up in the Canada area?
Good. Yesterday was beautiful. Today's cooled off quite a bit, and then we've got snow forecast for Monday. So
No, holy
yeah,
goodness.
yeah. We're excited though. Actually, we could see in the morning. I drive the kids to school, and the sun comes up in the east, and it just shines beautifully over on the Rocky Mountains. So when we get some fresh snow, you see the sun coming up and hitting the mountains with the fresh snow. Oh, it's
Oh
absolutely
my
breathtaking.
goodness. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what I gotta say, I'm a little excited about talking to my wife before she traveled that we get to see each other soon,
We
right?
do. A couple of weeks coming up here.
Yeah. So we last webinar we had on was we had Bob Repass talking about the Note Expo and how getting around other note investors and note originators both is key to our business and networking and doing stuff. Is there a prime reason that what do you look for? What's your goals when you go to those kind of conferences? What do you aim to do?
So for me, it's the two sides of the business. Number one, you need capital. So I'm always looking for new investors. And number two is notes. So I'm always looking for new notes. Anybody
So
who's creating notes, anybody who's got notes for sale, I'm
So
looking
do
for
you
those.
just go out and go, hey, I need to buy notes? How do you, so those people who are maybe first time going, how do you do that? Do you conversate? Do you have to get to know the person? How do you approach them sometimes?
Yeah. You just kind of, hey, how's it going? What are you up to? What are you doing? And you just kind of get into it. I
Yeah.
don't know that I really have a formula necessarily, but I just chat. You just
Yeah,
talk to
it's a
people and just,
relationship, right?
yep.
It's like going on a date. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people are kind of concerned and scared to go there, but it's just talking, right? Get to
Yeah.
know each other, ask questions.
Yeah.
Cindy's saying she's excited to see us there. Yeah. Cindy, we're
Yeah.
excited to see everyone. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Since it's been May since no DME.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's been a little while. So good to get together.
we're doing a lot of stuff privately with originators and stuff like that. And in this relationship game, we're finding assets outside the traditional way of, buying from hedge funds. And
Yeah.
this
I
relationship
actually,
give the
I,
opportunity for it.
yeah, I was just looking at a tape from a hedge fund the other day, and he's like, yeah, are you looking for yield or are you looking for cash flow? And I was like, well, it's a little bit of both, but I have to meet targets on both sides. So he sent me this tape. He's like, have a look at these. I think these would be great for you. And he had strike prices on there. And I'm like, no, man, that doesn't work. Like
Yeah.
the prices you've got, that doesn't even barely breaks 10% as a yield. And I'm like, no, that's just not enough.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's tough, to get those kind of yields and whatever. And I'm like, well, from you it is.
And it's scary, right? Because we lived and breathed on those kind of assets for so long.
Yeah.
And it's not that they went bad, the pricing just didn't do well, right? It just there's more people in the space. I know
Yeah.
one of our future calls will have Dave Polio from SN come on and talk about how there's a lot of new note investors who are bidding and just not doing it correctly. We're looking forward to that call just
Yeah.
to
Me
kind of go
too.
through that branch part for some of the new people and originators
Yeah.
to know the fact that how note buyers should be approaching you to buy assets,
Yeah.
right? It's a
Yeah.
different
Really
world.
good. Really good.
I'm looking forward to traveling down there. I'm getting in there Thursday night, so if you are getting there, feel free to stop and say hi to us. We'll be speaking. They were speaking Friday, so that's
Yeah. Friday.
awesome.
We're on the same panel. I didn't even know we
Yeah,
were on the
look
same
at
panel. So
that.
that's good.
That's awesome. Gene's saying hi as well. He'll be part of our group, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So this year, 2023, we made a mission to branch in more into the seller finance, owner finance world and get a better understanding of it.
Yeah.
We've done a lot from
Yeah.
RMLOs to owner finance stuff, and people who came from that world and kind of pulling them, right? So if you're an owner finance person, we're there to teach you how the note buyer thinks, and we're trying to also teach you some of the right ways to originate.
Yeah.
But I think for us, back to the roots of being a note buyer, this is crucial, right? We're all about cash flow and yield, and we'll buy non-performing as well. But the cash flow in an owner finance note right now is probably the best market to be in.
Right now, I think so. It's harder. And I had another conversation yesterday with an attorney talking about we've been expecting a downturn. We've been expecting something
Yep.
to happen here since 2019. Like this is way overdue.
Yeah.
And then in speaking with this attorney yesterday, he was talking about how they're involved with a company that does auto loans, and defaults in auto loans are going up dramatically.
Yeah.
So, his words are, he goes auto loans and then bankruptcies and then foreclosures. And so I think he's right. And I think, and that's been his experience. So we're at
Yeah.
step 1 out of 3.
I know that I showed a chart in our Facebook group a couple days ago regarding what the P&I payment compared to the home income were surpassed 2006 and 7.
Yeah.
That's scary. If anyone needs a chart, I'll put in the comments. We're streaming live on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, and it'll be recorded on YouTube. But if you need it, I can share with you. It's amazing where we're at.
Yeah.
It's scary. We've been waiting for the break, and we just don't know when and how it's going to come.
And it's interesting. One more thing I'll add to
Yeah.
that is just, I think it was yesterday I saw a headline. I didn't go through and read the whole article, but it was talking about how the Fed was saying that inflation is still going up. So because it's still going up, there needs to be there needs to be a downturn in the economy before that can
Yes.
correct itself. So our interest rate's going to continue to go up. It kind of sounds like it. Which
Yeah.
again, is good news for us.
Yeah.
But I know that's not something everybody wants to hear.
I see the fact that the bankruptcy attorney from Steve on LinkedIn, he says that he watched the unemployment rate. So Steve, I'd be curious what you saw in your charts and what you've seen recently, just so we can get an idea of what that looks like, right? It's awesome. Good to see you, Sean, as well. So we want to bring on someone that really connected what we've done in 2023, right? And our roots of being a note buyer. And when I've seen his posts of that, and what we found was we need someone to connect the dots other than ourselves, who's done what we've done, understand what we understand, but also switch roles and understands the other side of it.
Yeah.
And has experience to kind of shoot the breeze, right? And networking in the space is always key to meet with people like-minded. It's awesome. I see BK slow, people making minimum payments. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate that over there on LinkedIn. It's awesome. So let's bring our guest in. He's sitting in the quote-unquote green room. Mr. Wayne Garrett. How are you, my man?
I'm good, David. Nathan, how are you? Thanks for having me on the show.
Welcome. So Wayne, we've seen a lot of your stuff recently, and you're doing a lot of cool stuff. Can you share a little about how did you get into notes? What brought you into this space? Were you in real estate? Were you a landlord beforehand? Tell us a little about your history.
Hey, sure, great. A lot of people in the note space, right? They start off, you were a landlord, you fix and flipper. That's not my trajectory at all. I was the W-2 guy. I'm formerly an engineer. I retired from that a few years ago, but I spent 30 years of my life working as an engineer. I grew up in the generation of graduate high school, go to college, get a degree, and get a good job. And I did that. What I found was in the 1990s, which is when I was really starting my engineering career, the world was changing. Manufacturing was changing. Jobs were moving to Mexico and offshore. And I went through periods where I would have a job and then they'd move the plant to Mexico and I'd have to find another job. And this happened a few different times. So that taught me a few things. That taught me that, hey, maybe the W-2 thing is not the greatest thing ever. And it also taught me that I have to be adaptable. I have to be able to take the experience that I have and what I learned from this previous job and leverage it to get a better job. And that's what I always did. I always leveraged my experience to get a better job, even though they were saying, hey, we're shutting the doors and we're getting rid of people. I'd always leverage that and move myself up the chain. So that was good. But over time, it really kind of soured me to the W-2 trajectory. I'm like, I got to do something different, but I never knew what it was. I tried all kinds of things, God. I've been a wedding videographer. I flew drones.
Wow.
I've done all kinds of different things trying to make different income. And a lot of that's transactional income.
Sure.
So transactional income is good, but the problem is if you get out of your W-2 job and you get into something else that's transactional, you've built yourself a human-powered helicopter, and as soon as you stop pedaling, well, you come right back down. So I went down this path for a while, and also when I was thinking about this, you guys remember the movie that came out in 1999, Office Space?
Yes.
That movie really spoke to me because when I saw the characters in that movie, I'm like, oh, that's me. I don't want to live in a cubicle. This existence is terrible. But I didn't know what else to do. And it wasn't until fast forward through several years of being discontent, but just continuing, because again, when you have a good paying job, you tend to get in a groove and had money to pay the bills, had money to have a nice house, have nice cars. My wife is a career W-2 person. She's got a really good career too. She works in the medical field. And so between the both of us for a long time, we were dinks, dual income, no kids. So we were just living a nice life. We were traveling and buying nice cars and house and but spending everything, not really investing, just living life and spending. Well, then you have a life event. So back toward the end of 2018, we had that life event. My wife lost her career job. She'd been in one company for about 26 years, and they did a massive round of layoffs in the medical because, medical has gone through some changes lately. She lost her job. And so that opened our eyes to, we need to do something different. So we started looking at traditional real estate investing.
Okay.
So that's the path we started down. What I found was, being an engineer, I looked at getting into rental property. That's one of the things that people often start off, right? Rental property.
Sure.
The problem is that I couldn't make the spreadsheet and the checking account match. The numbers didn't add up and didn't make sense to me. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm spending all this money, all this effort, time, and resources, and I'm going to get maybe $200 a month.
Yeah.
And then once the tenant moves out, I could be looking at a $10,000 make ready for the next tenant, depending on what damage was done, what needs to be done to the house. So those numbers just didn't make sense to me. The same with a lot of other things in traditional real estate. In that time in the market, I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, very, very competitive. When you start studying traditional real estate, what do they tell you? 70% of ARV is what your goal is for investing. But when you start trying to apply that, you very quickly realize that seasoned real estate investors, that's not what they're doing. They're coming in at 90, 91, 92 maybe. But it's because a lot of times they have a machine. They already know, they have agreements with contractors. They can walk into a house, and in 5 minutes, they know what it's going to cost them to turn that house, because they already have the relationships and the machinery built.
Sure.
As a new person coming in, you can't compete with that. I figured out real quick, you can't compete with that. So I'm just racking my brains. What am I going to do? And I was attending RIAs, meeting people, getting out there. There was a guy, I don't know if you guys have heard of him, Tom Henderson. Are you familiar with him?
We have had him on the show.
Yeah.
Tom Henderson came to a RIA that I was attending. And that's where I first got the interest in notes. The first time I'd ever heard of note investing.
Yeah.
But I didn't quite know how to apply it. It seemed like, how do you really apply this? And so I just kind of bookmarked that. And I told my wife about it, and she thought it was interesting too. She's like, okay, we'll bookmark that. And I continue down the path of, marketing for pre-foreclosures. And again, all the stuff you do in traditional real estate while I'm still doing my engineering career. Then comes along Eddie Speed. Went to a one-day class. I saw a promo for Eddie Speed's note school. So I said, let me go try to do that. Went to a one-day class, I liked the messaging. And for some reason, Eddie seems to have a way of taking, I say it like this, Eddie takes the cookies and he puts them on the bottom shelf. He makes note investing much easier to understand. I don't know why. It's just the way he presents the material. It clicked with me. So I went to a 3-day class, and then that turned into signing on as a student. And from there, I just got really involved. We decided, and at the same time, my wife and I had a plan. We figured out along the way that trying to be an investor and doing a full-time W-2 job is very difficult.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we had a plan. We decided, let's do this. Let's downsize our expenses and make it to where we can live off one income, which would be hers. And so we did that. We planned this out over about a year and a half. And then when note school came along, it was perfect because we decided, okay, I'm just going to become a full-time note guy. I'm going to retire from engineering, and I'm just going to dedicate all the resources into that. We both had retirement accounts. I had a string of retirement accounts from being at this job and this job, because every job I had a 401k.
Right.
And so that left me with a string of 401ks, as she had a couple of 401ks too. So then we started again learning about self-directed IRAs. I remember when I first learned about a self-directed IRA, that was like, what?